So we're going to move on to our second speaker of this session this morning. So our second speaker is Ilaria. Ilaria did a bachelor and master's in chemical engineering in Milan in Italy and a PhD in chemical engineering at University College London in the UK. She has a passion for scientific education, and after volunteering for the Science Museum in London during her PhD, she joined us as our new Education and Outreach Officer earlier this year. So Ilaria is going to talk to us today about some of the educational resources we provide to our community. So over to you, Ilaria.
Thank you for the introduction, and thank you all for being here with us, at least virtually this year. In this talk, I will present how to grow a crystallographer, and I will present the resources that we have at the CCDC to inspire and engage with the current and the next generations of scientists and crystallographers. Before we start, as Susanna has already mentioned in the chat, you can play bingo along during the talks for just a bit of fun. So you will need to build your bingo game card or download it from the website with 9 elements. And along the talk, you will see some structures and molecules. You might actually recognize some of them as well. And once you see an element or molecule that you have on your bingo card, you can cross it off and add the ref code. At the end, hopefully we will have someone winning, so you can share a picture on social media or call bingo in the chat. So I will now give you roughly 20 seconds, half a minute to fill in the bingo card if you want to play along, and visit the periodic table to inspire you with your choices, and visit actually the periodic table of crystals that we have built. We will hear more about it later. For a hint, the yellow elements are the most common in the CSD. So it's time to start with the game and with the talk, of course. What do we do at the CCDC? We have heard from Matt, if you were here earlier as well, about the curation of the CSD. And you probably also know the CSD software, the scientific software that we write to enable you to learn more from our collection of structures. And we also carry out scientific research to help advance structural chemistry. As if you were here heard also from Jürgen's presentation, we are a non-profit charity organization, and our mission is summarized as written on the slide. So our charitable objective is the advancement of chemistry and crystallography for the public benefit through providing high-quality information, services, and software. The education and outreach activities that we do are just part of this mission. These activities are possible thanks to the CCDC staff, and you probably met some of our staff participating in educational opportunities all over the world. And it's indeed all over the world, as you can see from the map, which I hope will appear soon. This map shows our community around the world of contributors. And you can also see how wide the community is, from the range of speakers and attendees to today's meeting. And the question is, how do we at the CCDC support our users around the world and the next generation of scientists? I will talk about this in this talk. We will see the resources that we have for kids, for example, the home learning, and then for students, such as teaching database, teaching module, and soon we'll have decor, and then what we're doing for the current generation, our community, with events and training materials. As you can see, I, of course, had to represent these 3 stages with crystals. So kids represent the future generation of scientists and crystallographers. To engage them with science and with what we do at the CCDC, we take part at outreach activities such as the Cambridge Science Festival. You can see some pictures on this slide. The question again is, how can we provide engagement when all in-person events are cancelled? So we designed the CCDC Home Learning, which is a collection of home-friendly activities that family could do at home over the summer. And we think that this could be used also in the classroom. The home learning activities cover a range of topics from the state of matter, the beauty of crystals, finding substances that are at home, but also in the CSD, and even polymorphism and the crystallization. A common ingredient for all of the activities is the observation of the reality around us, so starting from familiar concepts and objects. And this was very central for us, as it provides the examples that we could explain using new concepts, but also the fundamentals on which we could build more knowledge of crystals. And in the example of the activity Lego Chocolate and Polymorph, we're doing this already from the title. So Lego and chocolate are familiar and quite enjoyable elements, and polymorphs is very likely to be an unknown word for kids, but next to the other two, it cannot be too scary. And also in the hands-on activity, we use Lego, for example, to explain different polymorphic forms, and we do the example of chocolate, which is quite a relatable experience to have tried a not so good chocolate bar. But also on top of making the learning more fun and interactive, using familiar concepts and objects makes sure that enables students and learners to approach the world around them with new tools and concepts. We had to face also a number of challenges when we were translating activities to make them home friendly. And first of all, our experts are missing, so we don't have our volunteers supporting the learning. So we had to anticipate questions and provide the answers. And also some activities were not as home friendly. So when we couldn't adapt these activities, we provided an alternative, such as, for example, a video of crystallization or a description. And we also have to take into account that activity leaders might have a variety of backgrounds. So we supported them with step-by-step guided activities, glossaries, guided discussion, and solution for the open questions. And in the coming slide, we can see an example of all these elements on the Lego Chocolate and Polymorph activity handout. And you probably have heard about the battle cards as well, because it has been a very popular game over summer. And this is a game to learn about elements and crystals. This game is based on the periodic table of crystal that we saw at the beginning of the presentation. This is a community-led project where contributors, volunteers from the community created pages for each of the elements. And we turned this periodic table into a game for kids to explore crystals and elements. And we ask our expert, and our expert can confirm that this game is fun for the entire family. And next, we have students, the material we have for students, and students have already chosen to study science. So we want to support them in their learning, and we want to support the educators. So this section contains material that educators can use in the classroom. We have a collection of resources on our website that you can find under the community tab in educational resources. And these resources are built with the contribution of external collaborators. So this really shows how much we do with our community for our community. And we also believe that the wealth of information that we have in the CSD is a precious resource, not only for solid state scientists, but also for science teachers. The star of the educational resources is probably the teaching database. It's a collection of over 750 structures freely available to download, and that you can visualize with the free version of Mercury. The CSD teaching subset contains carefully chosen structures that are representative and useful in learning different subjects from fundamental chemistry, symmetry, drug molecules, and metal organic frameworks. It contains, for example, many of the key molecules that are typically used in standard chemical textbooks, So this is also an aid to the learning. And we also have teaching modules, as I mentioned earlier, which are targeted towards a range of scientific levels and a range of topics, mostly fundamental chemistry and crystallography. And many of these use mercury, which is an important aid because being able to visualize the structure and molecules is a support in scientific learning. And soon you will be able to find DECOR on our website. And DECOR is the acronym for the Database of Educational Crystallographic Online Resources. This is a collection of crystallography lectures made available from different authors and organized by type or by topic, as you can see on the sneak peek on the side. And this project was started by Mike Zilla from Temple University, and Mike kindly donated these resources to us in 2020. If you would like to contribute to this database as well, please feel free to get in touch with us. So we're finally moving to the current generation, which is our community. And we've already seen the variety in geography of our users, but also we know in experience from very young crystallographers and young scientists to more experienced ones. So we've already heard that the CCDC is committed to provide access to the data deposited from all over the world and to provide the tools to learn from this plethora of information, the CSD software. In normal times, we would meet you at conferences and organize workshops to support you with the training of the CSD software, but what can we do now? So first thing, we've been working to improve our section of virtual resources, such as self-guided workshops and how-to videos. You can find this again in the educational resources part of our website. As for the self-guided workshop, this section was already flourishing with materials, and we've been working on, we've been trialing a new template for our workshop, for example, for the Conquest workshop, where we try to highlight more the learning outcomes, the objectives, and the, I lost my words, sorry. We'll try to highlight different things to guide you more during your learning, individual learning. And we're also trialing a new feedback form where after doing a workshop, you can get back to us and let us know what you thought about it so we can continuously improve. And then we have been growing our videos, our collection of how-to videos, which is important to be working on different kinds of resources because different users might have different learning styles, might feel more comfortable with different formats and different amount of material and information. And our how-to videos cover from the software training, but also about structure deposition. For example, the CSD communication video has been published just last week. And also on this page, if you're curious to know what is going on, what we're doing at the CCDC, we suggest some videos from our events and other topics. And more. So we're finding new ways to reach you with training. For example, on Tuesday, you can check social media with the Top Tip Tuesday. And so you can find it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. It's a very short tip about our software. And for example, the week that I'm showing here, we were showing how to use the polyhedral style, which is useful, for example, in MOFs representation. What else we're doing? We are presenting all the new features with demos and Q&As during the WhatsApp webinars, but also in blogs. And this is news from today. Actually, it's the first time we're announcing it. We are launching our first virtual workshops, so training on our Conquest and Mercury tools. This will take place in November, so there will be hands-on activities with CCDC tutors available. and more information will be coming soon, so keep an eye on our website and social media if you're interested. Another way to bring the community together during these times was teaming up with the BACG, organizing and hosting the Crystal Conversations. If you are interested in joining one of these, so far we've been very successful. The next one will be on the 5th of November. So this brings to the end of my talk, actually. So I presented which resources we have to engage with kids, our outreach activities, and we want to track them with science and crystals, with such as activities such as the home learning and the battle cards. We want to engage with students by supporting the educators with teaching resources for teaching science and crystallography, and we want to keep engaged and interact and support you, keeping engaged with events, but also supporting your training with different kind of materials. So, of course, this cannot be the work done by only one person. So the biggest thank you goes to all the contributors across the CCDC whose input and work is fundamental for education and outreach, but of course to all of the community for keep collaborating, working, and inspiring us. And a special mention to Mike Silla for the DECA resources and to you for your attention. If you want to contribute and collaborate with us, don't hesitate to get in touch and let us know also if you had any bingo. Thank you.
Great, thank you for a lovely talk, Ilaria. If anyone does have any questions for Ilaria, then please feel free to turn your microphone on. I think you did have one bingo line, so Greg got the first bingo line, I believe. I don't know whether anyone got a full house. Has anyone got any questions for Ilaria?
I missed phosphorus. I don't know if it was in one of the first ones. I was so close to a full house.
And we hope you recognise your lovely Benin structure earlier on, Marielle and Thierry. So I guess
I just want to comment.
Go on, Greg.
Great. You know, this is the first time I've played CCDC bingo, and I was thinking, man, I have to teach online general chemistry in the spring, and I was thinking, you know, a good way to keep my students is I'm thinking about doing CSD bingo and just having them like in the corner of my PowerPoints, because if I expect them to actually listen to me, I need to provide them something to distract them with so that they actually, it's that weird thing, right, in teaching. So that was kind of fun.
So I guess with that in mind, we are all having to adapt and change how we do things with the pandemic and how we teach things. How do you see our resources evolving next year, Ilaria? Have you got any thoughts yet?
I think we will be focusing more on virtual activities. So rather than focusing on in-person activities. So how can we adapt? I think already trialing these virtual workshops will be a good step for us to see how we can actually provide training when we cannot assist the users, for example. So I think going virtual and thinking more of this, also it will be a great input, because even in normal times, we cannot be everywhere in the world. So this will help us also in normal times, I think.
Sounds good. Any other questions for Ilaria before we move on to the final talk in the session? Okay, so leaves me to say thank you again, Ilaria, for your talk, and we're going to move on to our final talk of this session.